Can transhumanism be Christian? Short answer, yes. Not everybody's going to agree with me. I'm ready to debate this. As for what is transhumanism, another short video for that. Here's the context. Liberal, conservative. So labels can be libelous, but we use them in politics, judicial, philosophy, economics. And in this context, liberal and conservative Christian, liberal would be open to science. These are generalities. Conservative would be more suspicious of science. Liberal, more revisionist, willing to make changes based on new and developing information. Conservatives tend to be traditional, do it the old way. Liberals are what we call this worldly, focused on the here and now. And conservatives tend to be otherworldly, talking about angels and demons and devils and stuff, heaven and hell. Liberals tend to be more pragmatic, solving problems in the here and now. Conservatives tend to be more dogmatic, adhering to certain beliefs, not open to questioning. So with that context, I would say I'll identify three categories of responses that the Christian religion might make to various transhumanist programs. And the first response, can transhumanism be Christian? No, absolutely not. There is a development called techno-apocalyptic. And the idea is that the transhumanist programs of radically enhancing human beings using various breakthrough technologies are not only anti-Christian, but are a part of the anti-Christ apocalyptic Holocaust that's coming. So there is, I'll give you an example. Thomas and Nina Horn are leaders in this. No, this is satanic. Just listen to the names of a couple of books that will communicate this whole idea very well. The longest titles of books I think I've ever seen. Forbidden Gates, How Genetics, Robotics, AI, Synthetic Biology, Nanotechnology, and Human Enhancement Herald the Dawn of Techno-Dimensional Warfare. How's that for the drama that's unfolding? Here's another one. Pandemonium's Engine, How the Church Aged, the Rise of Transhumanism, and the Coming of the Superman herald Satan's final and imminent assault on the creation of God. So transhumanism is portrayed in this category of response in techno-apocalyptic writings as leading to the enslavement and destruction of humanity in a biblically prophesied imminent evil end time with a great war between the Antichrist using all these technologies against God and the faithful. These are leading authors, Thomas and Nina Horn. There may be others, and it's a big operation with lots of followers and TV station and books and videos and on and on. So Sean O'Callahan provides a wonderful analysis of this in one of the books that I've co-edited. This Christian-based right-wing reaction against transhumanism follows a long line of apocalyptic preaching and writing about the imminent end of time. In its modern version, this tradition began in the 19th century with the dispensationalism of someone named John Nelson Darby, who preached mission trips in Canada and the U.S. and began to spread this whole notion about the end time. And it's got disseminated through something called the Scofield Reference Bible. It infiltrated Bible conferences, books, institutes, and in a popular version of this a few decades ago was Hal Lindsey's late great Planet Earth, who predicted Jesus was going to come back in 1970. Then the Left Behind series, which many of you may have heard about. And in my 2009 book on fundamentalism, a therapist looks at the fundamentalist mind, I have a good section on this whole way of apocalyptic thinking. So, the Pope and the Catholic Church have been the evil Antichrist types, played that role in this way of thinking. It was communism for a while when I was growing up, and then the Islam, and now the transhumanism is the bad satanic inspired movement. Anyway, that's one view. Can transhumanism be Christian? Absolutely not. A second category is a conservative Christian response, but not extreme. And the idea here is that they are cautious and take a precautionary ethical stance, that we move forward on some of these programs in a very cautious way rather than a proactive way, which is the way the transhumanists want to move. So and some of the more extreme transhumanist approaches would be problematic for this conservative but not extreme reaction. So, for example, if the transhumanist program calls for moving into cyber bodies or mind uploading, divorcing ourselves from the kind of the traditional, usual way of being human in the world, then there's probably going to be too much. If we, move into transhumanism, transhuman versions, and certainly into post-human versions, this is going to be too much. So very cautious, very careful, but not totally divorcing themselves from seeing some of these enhancement programs as being possibly to be embraced. And then a third approach is a more open, embracing view. This has been called I think I've used the term tech plus theology or theology 2.0. And the idea is that the transhumanist programs, while they're not to be embraced without caution and education and reflection, and to develop in a fair, accessible way, not just for the rich and powerful and so on, there are concerns, but that these programs and the technologies that drive the human enhancements can be viewed as a means of grace, as the work of God in the world. So that's really a critical question. Are these programs of God? And it may not be able to make a general statement. May be, pick and choose certain programs, but basically the positive Christian view is that yes, this is of God. That there's a notion of God, that human beings are co-creators. So this was a term that's caught on by theologian Philip Hefner, that God created human beings. In the book of Genesis, we get this story that God created human beings in the image of God. And part of what that means is that human beings are creative, and we are charged with tending the garden, with taking care of the planet. And so part of what that means is that we create with God using our creative ability, our intelligence that God gave us, our rational ability God gave us. We use that to create with God, to work with God to create, i.e., technology that can improve life. A couple other notions that could come into play here in this more positive embrace of transhumanism would be Teilhard de Chardin, a paleontologist, studied fossils and got some renown out of that. And he has a notion of a mega point, that God is love moving to a mega point. It is I can't go into the detail of the theology here, but it is a theological program, Teilhard de Chardin, that is embracing of an evolutionary perspective, embracing of evolution as an unfolding of God's creative activity. And evolution can be understood as, as not ending with Homo sapien, but including transhuman versions of God's creative activity of intelligence into the world. Image of God, personhood, I've talked a lot about this in my writings. Advanced AI, when it's going to look like it has sentience, rationality, creativity, relationship, possibilities, and that's going to open up questions about image of God, personhood, and there are ways of conceptualizing those doctrines of image of God that are embracing of God's, a bigger picture of God's creative activity. There's a branch of Christianity. Christianity has three main branches, and one branch, the Eastern Orthodox Christian branch, has a doctrine called theosis, 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 which is well expressed in the oft-quoted words of Athanasius of Alexandria, 4th century CE. He, Jesus Christ, was made man that we might be made God. And so that is, another a concept in Christianity, not widespread in all branches of Christianity, but a concept in Eastern Orthodox Christianity that fits with the idea of human beings evolving beyond Homo sapiens into some sort of transhuman pattern, and maybe even post-human. I want to mention that there are a couple of organizational and structures that have emerged within the Christian religion. The oldest one is Christian Transhumanist Association. And it's not the oldest one, I'm sorry. But one is Christian Transhumanist Association, which mission statement is broad enough that can include, a variety of Christians who might embrace it to some degree, transhumanist programs. I'm an academic advisor to the Christian Transhumanist Association, and another one, the oldest one, is Mormon Transhumanist Association. I won't go into the details here, but the Latter-day Saints tradition has a doctrine that is open to, that makes that tradition compatible with, according to members of the Mormon Transhumanist Association, compatible with transhumanist vision of transhuman, perhaps even moving into post-human. So the newest book I'm working on by Cambridge University Press, co-authored with my Canadian colleague Tracy Trothan, is Transhumanism as a New Religious Movement. And basically we're exploring there, will transhumanism evolve into its own religious expression, or will transhumanism be incorporated within the existing religions, or some of both? Transhumanism as a New Religious Movement, my next project. Thank you very much. I appreciate your attention.